Hi, we're here at the MIDI Association booth, and we're in the MIDI 2.0 area with Andrew Mee. Yes. Andrew, tell us what's going on here.
So welcome to China for a start. First thing we're doing is we're trying to show off MIDI 2 products that you can actually buy today and use today. We've been talking about MIDI 2 for a long time, and it's actually good for people to see that it's available and here. And so what we're showing off is, first off, we're showing off various keyboards. This is a controller keyboard from Studio Logic that does MIDI 2 high resolution notes and CC messages and so forth, which is really good when you then pair that with a DAW that does high resolution. So one of the things that we're showing off here is that Apple Logic now has a MIDI 2 mode, and that you can actually go and use that mode and actually have high resolution, and which works really well with the plugins and so forth. This is going to be a game changer, especially for composers and pianists who really want to get in there and have that much more fine-grained control about what they're doing. And it's going to work with synth users as well, because they're going to be wanting to have things like much better resolution when they're trying to go through a filter suite, for example. These are all things that MIDI 1's been able to do for ages, but it's really good to be able to have that kind of control now. So with that, we're also going to be showing off the Yamaha brand new MODX. The Yamaha MODX-M has been available for ages, and probably the last 12 months, and it's also had MIDI 2 as well. This is now straight out of the box a MIDI 2 product, and again, so now you've got synth engines that are going to be able to utilize that kind of features. So this is awesome for the industry. Lastly, just because it's absolutely cool and it's going to show the kinds of things that we'll be able to do with MIDI 2 in the future, we're also showing off the Melbourne Instruments Roto Control, just because it's great in providing both providing haptics and that kind of interface where you actually get bi-directional kind of communication to show, look, this is what's happening on the computer. And I don't know if you can see from there, but if I hit play, it's probably a little hard to see, but you've got communication happening back and forth between the two devices. And this is really about the future of what MIDI can do and MIDI 2 can do.
So you mentioned your plugins.
Yes. So
go ahead.
So one of the big things that MIDI Association is working on at the moment is having plugins communicate all the way from inside the DAW all the way to the controller keyboards or keyboards in general, so that those two can actually talk to each other, and you can have the right communication and the right messaging that goes between the two. Again, we're trying to remove that whole need to do a lot of user interaction, and you can be a lot more creative and musical without getting involved.
Yeah, as I'm actually the chair of the MIDI CI Helper DAW working group, I'll talk a little bit about that, because what we realized is that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of plug-in developers, and we didn't want to make them have to do very much work to support MIDI 2. So what we did was, we went to the 4 companies that own the plug-in formats. So that's Steinberg for VST3, it's Avid for AAX, it's Apple for audio units, and it's Bitwig for clap. Fortunately, all 4 of those companies are MIDI Association members. So we had a meeting, we brought them all together, and we said, how can we fix this problem? There's 4 different formats. So those companies are working on MIDI CI Helper, which is what it's going to do. It's going to look at an external MIDI device. It's going to get all of the information that's necessary for the plugin out of MIDI CI and out of the UMP messages, and extract it actually out of MIDI and turn it into the native plugin format parameters that are necessary. Because for example, something like VST3, it doesn't actually have MIDI inside of VST3. It has all of the capabilities of MIDI 2.0. For example, per note expression and note attributes. but it's in a different format. So we're providing that translation layer. Actually, not the MIDI Association is doing it. It's actually the companies that make those plug-in formats. So that's a great example of how the MIDI Association works to bring different companies together. And those different companies then look at a very difficult problem, figure out how to solve it, and then give away that solution for free. So that those solutions are going to be available. They're going to be open source, so any developer will be able to download it, recompile their app, and then it will become MIDI 2 compatible. So that was an awful lot of information. Andrew, thank you for the great explanation. And
You're welcome.
I'm going to go on to the next side of the MIDI Association booth.